is the chairman of the Aerospace Industries Association of the Philippines. He is the president of several innovative companies, including Applied Machining Corporation, one of the 13 companies with an AS9100D, a widely adopted and standardized quality management system for the aerospace industry. He is also president of Nito Seiki Manufacturing Corporation, a one-stop shop for all machining needs, including aerospace, and president of the first Aerocoat Surface Technology Incorporated, a NADCAP aerospace coating company, specializes in aerospace anodizing, electrolyzed nickel, and others. Friends, let's put our hands together for Mr. John Lee.
So, initially I was gonna present some of the roadmap, but I think because of time, I think we'll skip some of it. But we want to introduce you AIAP and what we're all about. So we were established recently, so baby pa rin, 2012. We were established because when we looked at Malaysian aerospace during our visit, we realized that we need to get together, band together, and figure out something to make the industry grow. So from the misty beginnings during the time was, I think, $150 million production. Last year, we were up to almost 700. The year before that was bigger and brighter, but the future seems to be gonna be bigger and bigger. That's what we're hoping. Huwag lang masagasaan. So, a few industries that we're working on with now. We have, of course, the MROs, the manufacturing. So the biggest in the Philippines initially was manufacturing. MRO came second. Of course, the airlines has been here for forever since the, I think they celebrated almost 80 years or service of Philippine Airlines or something. So, but we also need, of course, the academe, the backbone. And as mentioned a while ago, there's a lot of support in the industries that makes it happen. It doesn't, there's only 77 members of the industry, but these 77 members comprise of a lot of support, logistics, machine equipment, and everything. And we hope to grow. Hopefully we will be able to entice the DOST representative. That way we can include a portion of this in, as mentioned by also the Chica of safety. We need something to move forward to. But Aerospace Industries Association is precisely that. If you are a NADCAP, AS9100 company, that means you can produce for the aerospace and kasama yung outer space. So yun ang definition. So, of course, there's 13 companies. Some of them are tier 1s. So, of course, sorry, mali na yung Rockwell. So now they're Collins Aerospace na pala. I have to change that. So, Collins Aerospace, for example, is one of the biggest company in the Philippines and globally, UTC, United Technologies. Biggest producer, that includes satellites. So they also produce a lot of different things that will probably be useful in the future. Hopefully they can bring it here. Of course, we have the interiors company like Jamco. Collins Aerospace also do interiors, inserts. So if you eat in the plane, the ovens, the refrigeration, everything now built in the Philippines. 80% of the global oven production now is in the Philippines. So soon, 50% of the refrigeration market will be here in the Philippines. So all these are coming online. Of course, there are companies like ours, like tier 2 suppliers, who support the manufacturing of the tier 1s. So they'll always be there. So of course, Applied Machining, CNC, famous secret. I think the biggest Filipino manufacturing in terms of CNC. They have 250 machines. They have MD Aerospace for sheet metals. I think that we forgot Surface Technology Inc. So Surface Technology Inc. is one of those companies. It's a UK-based company based in the Philippines that was bought out by AIAP. So this company sends parts to outer space. They are one of the leading producers for the boards for the satellites. Out of 10,000 boards, only one makes it into outer space. That's how the selection process goes. NADCAP certified, of course, first air code. We are one of the only few company that is certified for NADCAP, and hopefully CAPCO, which is one of our members, can be there soon too. So we'll skip all the other ones because I might get this board later flashing. So this is a new thing that we have joined. We have partnered with the Asian, not ASEAN, but Asian Alliance. No? So this is a new thing that we've done. So Asian Aerospace Alliance. We partnered with Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore, Taiwan, and hopefully Japan will follow suit. So this collaboration is to be able to produce things that we can support the industry with respect to the Europeans and the American market of components and parts. So there's a huge market potential for all the products, especially that a lot of free trade agreements is in effect between our countries. So the idea is collaboration between the Asian counterparts, because in the global supply chain for aerospace, you cannot afford to make it all. It's just impossible. So you need the help of the neighbors. Instead of doing everything to, we do what we do best, and we share some of the things, and we, co-partner for some who already established those supply chain gaps. So roadmap, I think this one we're crafting the roadmap, but I think most of this that were mentioned, so we'll try to go through it quicker. So of course, basically what the association, yeah. So anyways, mali pala ako, I put SIPP, sabi niya hindi raw yun pwede. Mamaya, pagkatapos na raw ng train 2, saka na raw pwede ilagay yung SIPP. IPP pala na yan. So, anyways, basically what we plan to do is trying to figure out how to grow the industry by completing the supply chain, providing also the manpower needed, as mentioned by some of the academics kanina. There's a need, there's a huge gap. Dr. Guevara mentioned we have 5,200 people, and the industry needs a lot of these people that knows what aerospace is, knows what the things that are involved. DE right now, I think they employ more than 3,200 people and growing. So we need a lot of those people. Not only in the manufacturing, but the other sector that provides software development and all the other market that goes with it. Let me just skip to the... Of course, the vision of the association is to be a major hub, in the global supply chain for the aircraft industry. Initially, we were targeting only commercial aircraft market. But now I think there's, of course, not just that. There's a huge demand for, of course, space. There's a huge demand also for defense. The Philippine military has also wanted to do some programs. So let me skip some of the things that might not be, because I think some of this were discussed before of what are needed, education, training, skills development. So currently right now, what are being made in the Philippines? Of course, as you know, MO Controls has been around here for 30 years, been doing flight controls, secondary flight controls, a lot of different things, industrial hydraulics. So this company has basically shown that in terms of Philippine manufacturing, we are one of the best. So this is the biggest factory out of anywhere in the world for their operations. And they're growing, they're expanding. But unlike before it was 80% build, 20% buy. The times are changing. They want to do 80% buy, 20% build. What does that mean? It's a sharing of risk with some of us, like suppliers, who supply MOO, and for other people who might be interested, because the times are not the same as before. People who do machining, if you're good, then you do it, and you become part of the supply chain. So that's the idea. For them, they do design. So what they're good at, they do. So you always want to be there what you're good at and not what you're not good at. And trying to do everything. You cannot do everything. So even the automotive industry is becoming a tier 0.5. Meaning Ford will take care of the brand, somebody do the assembly. So it's always going to be on that level. So some of the other things that have been produced here, of course, for the A350. For those of you who have been to the A350 or ridden the A350 plane of Airbus, so all the galleys inside are produced in the Philippines. So ovens also are done here. Yung seats, hopefully malapit na. It's not yet, but it's coming. So we're hoping. So addition to the line, so currently right now, ano lang to hindi yung totoong upuan, pero peke lang yan. Just to show you. Baka lazy boy yata yan. But we do have wiring harness production here. We do have seats. We do have oxygen systems packages now. So these are the new, before wish to be put on the list, now it's on the list. There are some that still might be able to do, no? Water systems, thermal power management might be coming soon. And hopefully, of course, the easy one, lighting. So still a huge market. Before they were mentioning about the satellites or the industry is an $800 billion market. No? Within this thing, not only within the commercial aerospace, but the whole industry is quite huge. They're like $1 trillion. The backlog is still, for the next 20 years, is $3.7 trillion. So still quite a huge production. No? So, if you look at it, if you look at Asia Pacific, we control 36% of the global demand still. So all the, if you notice, all the Asian countries are buying brand new planes. They're talking about Hong Kong, China. They're fleeting up, they're expanding. Because unlike before, kaya naman ni Juan, ano slogan ni Cebu Pacific? Everyone can fly. Parang ganun. So, it is the new advent of the low-cost carriers changes the whole game. If you notice also the frequency of the flights, there are a lot more flights. Nagiging bus na siya. Hindi na katulad dati na sasakay ka ng barko 3 araw bago umarating. It's becoming a bus. And the bus flies 6 times a day, 8 times a day, 12 times a day. As the population grows, it will grow and grow. So what is the value of a typical plane? So airframes account for 38%, which predominantly we will not get because these are too difficult to ship. We might get the smaller pieces, but we'll not get all of them. Engines, as you know, it's very difficult. It's possible. Some people are doing it now in the Philippines. No, engine components, but it is not easy. This is the highest end of the machining when you manufacture engine components. Systems, that will be like landing systems, MOGs, the flight control systems. So that counts for 14%. Avionics, 11%. Collins Aerospace is one of the leading company in terms of avionics, which hopefully eventually in the future they might be able to bring some of them here. Which of course would be able to help if we can develop, the key word, Karina, is the innovation. Innovation changes a lot of things. This won't happen if the innovation of the material for composites wasn't invented. That changed the whole ball game into the whole new game of changing or replacing all the fleet of the aircrafts. So for the next 10 years, there'll be backlogs and the backlogs is quite huge. Because that innovation is parang sabi nga disruptive because it has to change. So interiors is only 6%. But 6% of $200–300 million aircraft is still quite huge. It's a huge market for us. We can start small, and we gradually should grow into it. Sorry, this is quite. This is like a table of what we wanted to. What is the supply chain and what are the gaps? So sorry the color. So some of the things that they were discussing before in how to make sure to reduce the cost of parts for some of the tier 1s is the distribution of material because we don't have local material as mentioned before. That's one key element that we're lacking. Unfortunately, 99% are still imported. Sobrang minor if we can get up something localized. Specialized processing. With aerospace, everything has to be somehow special, certified. You know, there's so many certification systems. And to get that, like for example, to give you an idea, to get NADCAP certification, it takes 10 months to get a booking for them to come and audit. So it takes a long time for you to get certified and get used. Kasi bago mo magawa, sabi mo, kanina patience or stamina. That's the word, stamina. Kailangan maraming stamina lang. So finishing processes, again, there's a lot of things still needed in the industry. So MRO segment, now I got this data from CIAP. So CIAP has been doing, of course, MRO in the Philippines. When we were trying to do this presentation, initially wala ito. So I asked them if we can share the information for CIAP. So please, if I make a mistake making this type of presentation, again, this is, we copied it from there. Okay. So, a lot of the new aircraft entering service are the smaller aircraft. A320s and the 737, or called the single aisle, kasi isa lang yung dadaanan mo. These are the fastest selling aircraft in the world. So, again, this is the biggest, huge demand. The A350, the 777, of course, while they're selling, the 787 is only doing about 11 to 12 a month. The A350 is roughly around between 7 to 8 a month average. But they should be up to about maybe 10 to 12 within this year. So it's not easy to ramp up when you talk about the plane. There's roughly between 1.8 million to 2.4 million parts in one plane. And again, if the last part didn't come, it won't leave the yard. So the dynamic growth of the low-cost carriers in the region is driving a huge demand also for the MRO. So all the planes that were bought before and the new ones that's being bought now have to be fixed. They don't fly all the time. They have to be grounded and serviced. So the service demand, Lufthansa a few years ago when I talked to them, they needed 18,000 people within the region. That's a lot of aircraft mechanics that right now do not have a replacement. Like we do not have anyone that's going to go that many into the market. Okay, so that's a huge opportunity also for the manufacturing sector. The aircraft assembler, like for example Boeing, in the next 5 years, a lot of their people will retire. So that means they have to get people to assemble the aircraft from all over the globe, from the global aircraft mechanics, to be able to put it on the plane and get it assembled. So the demand is ever increasing. So again, Clark, we're pushing Clark to be as the hub. Clark has one of the longest runways in Asia. It can land a space shuttle. So it also has the area big enough for it to accommodate more MROs. So we have to keep trying promoting it. And we're also quite lucky because we are in the space where we can accommodate a lot of flying schools, which if you have aircraft requirements, you also will need pilots to be able to support the aircraft that's coming in. So again, almost 30% are single aisle or narrow bodies. I think I did the color wrong. I got it too dark, so it's quite hard to read. Sorry, but the slide, the presentation will be available, so you can probably take a look. So, but as you know, by 2028, from the current 31,000, it will be 42,000 planes, aircraft to be serviced. There's a huge demand. There's almost a 30% growth within the next 10 years. So every year, 4%. So that's quite huge. And 30% of that will be the single aisle or the narrow body. So the wide body isn't as much because people like to have more frequencies of flights. So cabin interiors modifications. After a few years, the planes can fly up to 2 decades, but the interiors is like having an old couch. After a while, it gets retrofitted. So after, depending on the airline budget, it gets ripped apart. Oh, tapos na pala. It gets ripped apart. So, and then redone. So hopefully we can get that side of the market also. Let me just speed this up because I think 15 minutes went by quick. Just give you some insights. So I think again, they already mentioned what challenges there are, space debris and all. But so for the industry AIAP, I mean, we have some of the technology and the skill sets to be able to produce some of the components. And of course, we're willing to join the space program and to contribute whatever we can. And hopefully, DOST can find some time to sit in one of the honorary board members to be a trustee of AIAP. That way, we can further collaborate and figure out what's the next steps. Again, thank you very much.
Engineer Santos.